I have been sitting here thinking about this team, and honestly, the roller coaster ride of this season has left me questioning everything we thought we knew about our defensive identity. Something just happened that could shake up everything for the Indianapolis Colts and force us to reevaluate our path to a championship. The stakes have never felt higher because this update involves a massive gamble that has the entire league buzzing with conflicting opinions. The more details emerge, the harder it is to ignore the intensity behind the scenes. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your name and city below. Let's get into it. The Indianapolis Colts sent shockwaves through the NFL when general manager Chris Ballard pulled the trigger on a massive blockbuster trade, shipping 2 future first-round picks to the New York Jets for star cornerback Sauce Gardner. This high-stakes gamble occurred midway through our 2025 campaign, right as our team stood at a respectable 7-2. While we were fresh off a tough loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the front office clearly decided that the window to win is wide open right now under head coach Shane Steichen. For us, this move represents a complete departure from the typical cautious approach we have seen from Ballard over the years. Trading premium assets like 2026 and 2027 first-round selections is a bold, undeniable mortgage of our future for a single shot at glory. The emotional reaction across Indianapolis has been remarkably split, as many of us are thrilled to finally see an aggressive push for a championship, yet we remain deeply unsettled by the sheer cost involved. This deal feels like a final, desperate roll of the dice to solidify a secondary that has struggled to find consistency. The truth is that we have become accustomed to Ballard trading for established talent, but never at this magnitude. We are now officially all in on the 2025 season, and the pressure on Gardner to perform at an elite level has never been higher. If this maneuver pays off with a deep playoff run, the steep price will be forgotten. But if we fall short, this trade will undoubtedly define the legacy of the current front office for years to come. We are holding our breath to see if this infusion of star power translates into the defensive dominance we have been craving to finally bring a trophy back home to Lucas Oil Stadium. The truth is, this trade represents a desperate pivot for Chris Ballard, who has spent years building through the draft only to see his window potentially closing. We have watched him trade high picks for DeForest Buckner and Carson Wentz before, but surrendering 2 first-round selections for Sauce Gardner is an unprecedented gamble that prioritizes immediate results over sustainable growth. Behind closed doors, our front office is betting that a veteran defensive staff can unlock a player whose recent statistics show a worrying decline in ball production and tackle consistency. Gardner struggled with a left calf strain last season, which limited his mobility and perhaps contributed to the dip in his play that left scouts divided. Historical parallels are haunting, as teams frequently mortgage their future for a star, only to find that the roster depth collapses once those high-value draft picks vanish. Shane Steichen and his coaching staff likely view this as a necessary move to elevate a defense that needed a true anchor, believing that Lou Anarumo's specific scheme is the perfect environment to reignite Gardner's elite performance level. They are banking on his confidence and physical gifts to stabilize a backfield that has lacked a consistent lockdown presence for far too long. While we are all thrilled to see a talent like Gardner in the Horseshoe, we must acknowledge that this is a high-stakes move that defines the current regime. If Gardner regresses further or fails to thrive under this new system, the fallout from this decision will be felt by our franchise for several years to come. We are effectively pushing all our chips into the center of the table, hoping that his recovery and integration into our secondary will lead us deep into the playoffs, vindicating Ballard's boldest maneuver since he arrived in Indianapolis to lead this proud organization. The reality of this trade is that we have officially entered a high-stakes era where the future of our franchise is tied directly to the performance of Sauce Gardner. We have effectively gambled our long-term flexibility for a missing piece on defense, which means that any failure to reach the Super Bowl this year will be viewed as a major organizational catastrophe. By bringing in a player of his caliber, our defensive depth chart has shifted significantly, forcing younger corners to take a back seat while placing immense pressure on the front office to manage a tight salary cap moving forward. This move is not just about one player, it is about creating a defensive identity that allows coaches to be more aggressive with their blitz packages against high-powered offenses. Looking at the schedule, having a lockdown presence like Gardner changes how we prepare for top-tier quarterbacks and elite receiving corps, especially in pivotal late-season games where every stop matters for seeding. As Indianapolis Colts fans, we have to recognize that this is the final piece of the puzzle designed to bridge the gap between us and our division rivals, particularly as we look to assert our dominance against Houston and Jacksonville. Our path to a deep playoff run is now much clearer because we have solidified our secondary to match the league's best units. With Gardner leading our defensive backfield, we possess a rare advantage that should frustrate opposing play callers throughout the entire season. The truth is that if this defensive unit plays up to its potential, the sacrifice of those draft picks will be considered a small price to pay for the championship glory we have been chasing for so long in Indianapolis. The argument for acquiring Sauce Gardner centers on the rare opportunity to pair a premier press corner with a defensive coordinator like Lou Anarumo who excels at weaponizing elite perimeter talent. By securing a true number one corner, we provide our staff the schematic flexibility to blitz aggressively, knowing the boundary is locked down behind them. The upside is a defense that dictates the tempo of every game, forcing quarterbacks into mistakes while we dominate the trenches. However, the risk remains glaringly obvious to anyone tracking our long-term trajectory. Mortgaging 2 future first-round picks for a player facing production questions is a dangerous gamble that could leave our roster void of young, cost-effective talent during crucial rebuilding windows. If this move fails to produce a deep postseason run, General Manager Chris Ballard may find his tenure defined by this singular, potentially reckless transaction. Across the league, reactions remain starkly divided. While some scouts marvel at Gardner's physical movement skills, others are quick to point out his reduced interception totals and occasional struggles in zone coverage as signs that his best football is behind him. Media circles are currently debating whether he is a fading star or simply a victim of poor scheme fit in his prior stop. And I will be real with you, this move is a classic double-edged sword. While my heart wants to believe that a change of scenery and the mentorship of Chris Hewitt will restore his status as the best defensive back in football, my head knows that the price tag was exorbitant for an asset with cooling metrics. We are betting everything on the hope that his pedigree outweighs recent trends. It is an all-in strategy that demands nothing less than a championship trophy to justify the significant cost we paid for his services. The bottom line here is that Chris Ballard has placed a massive wager on this championship window, signaling that the franchise is moving toward a win-now philosophy that leaves no room for error. We are entering a critical phase where the next few seasons will define the legacy of this front office and the tenure of Shane Steichen. As Indianapolis Colts fans, you should feel a sense of cautious optimism blended with high expectations, because this move for Sauce Gardner proves the organization is finally tired of merely being competitive. Having a premier defensive coordinator like Lou Anarumo at the helm provides the perfect tactical environment for a star corner to thrive, which is why we must believe this secondary will be the backbone of our playoff push. While the loss of future draft capital is undeniably steep, the chance to secure an elite, game-changing talent is often worth the price in a league where top-tier coverage dictates the outcome of the postseason. We are no longer waiting for the future. We are claiming the present. This aggressive pivot requires us to demand results, as we have traded away our long-term security to ensure that we are hoisting trophies sooner rather than later. It is a bold, risky strategy that forces us to embrace the volatility of the modern NFL. But for a team with our roster construction, it is exactly the kind of move that championship contenders make to push themselves over the top. Given the high stakes of this transaction and the polarizing views on Gardner's recent development, do you believe that trading 2 first-round picks for a lockdown corner is the missing piece to secure a Super Bowl title? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. For the Shoe, I'll see you in the next one.